ScreenCraft was like, okay, we're going to start sending out your material. Like, these are the places that we're thinking about, but you give me, you know, a list of people that you want us to send it to. That's when it clicked me, because I was like, okay, yes, the manager will like your work and has to be passionate about you, but you also have to be passionate about them. And I think we do forget that. We're like, oh, yeah, someone wants us, and we go for it. I mean, I was always writing short stories. Since I was like a little kid, I had a screenwriting class and it was just one semester. So when that class finished, I was like, what am I doing here? So I dropped out. I won this. And then I started looking. Again, I'm from a very small city and there were no schools. The first school that opened, actually, I think it opened when I left, or when I was about to leave. So I was just looking. There was nothing. So I started taking like just seminars whenever like John Truby, the Muggles, would like go to Mexico for like a weekend. So I started doing that. Then I was like, well, there's really nothing here. In Mexico, we have really good film schools, but there's just like two. It's very, very hard to get in. Everybody from Latin America is going to those schools. And at the time, they were only focusing on directing and producing. I have to leave the country. So that's when I found the New York Film Academy. So I went to Burbank. And so it was like this conservatory that was just 1 year because I couldn't afford it. You know, I was earning in pesos and then spending in dollars. So I only had for 1 year, and that year was like wonderful. I was not worried about anything, just writing a lot. It was amazing. But then you actually realize that it's really hard to stay. So they give you if you complete a year of studies, the government gives you what is called an OPT, which is a work permit. It's not a visa, it's just a work permit. So I used that. And then I thought, I was like, sure, I'm gonna get a job as a writer. It doesn't work. You know, I graduated, but I still had to polish my material. You know, it was not ready. So I spent the next couple of years doing that. I had to go back home. Then I was like, okay, I'm gonna apply for the O1 visa. And that was a journey, because you have to prove that you're better than anyone else. But at the same time, how do you prove that if you're not allowed to work yet? So it's kind of like a chicken and the egg sort of situation. And to me personally, I do think that the immigration journey has been the toughest. You know, breaking in, I know it's hard, but after going through immigration, to me, that was a piece of cake. Or it was just like, it's not easy, but I'm like, I can do this. Write something in school, they just leave it as it is. I was like, no, this is good. I'm going to continue to polish it. So my first screenplay was Sophie and Valentina. I had an incredible mentor and teacher over there at New York Film Academy. His name is Matt Howery. And I just continued to polish it. And it is the one that opened all doors for me. I was very lost. It was just Googling 1,000 hours a day. And I lost a lot of money, because when you don't know which ones are the good ones, I mean, at least I submitted to everything. And I don't even want to look at how much I spent on it. And most of those were just, I don't want to say scam, but it's scam. it was hard, because, you know, even winning some of them was like, cool, here's like a certificate, and like, okay. But like, they don't help at all, and so they just take the money and run with it pretty much. So I think the way I found which ones were the best ones was just by actually continuing to follow for years. You know, like, the first time that I found ScreenCraft, probably I was like, okay, well, that's another competition. But then after following them for so long and reading, I'm like, oh, this person got signed here. This person has a project here. So I think, yeah, taking a look at the success rate. The other thing was that I could not apply to fellowships when I didn't have a visa, because you have to be allowed to work, because some of them give you a stipend, and you know, you have to have Social Security. So it wasn't until I got my visa that I was like, okay, well, I'm going to apply to the good fellowships. And it really was just HBO and ScreenCraft. I was like, I'm not going to spend more money. I'm just going to do this once. And if they don't want me, then I'm going to look at another, I don't know, another route. But I had placed in other like smaller competitions before. And I remember I signed with a manager back in the day. And I was for about a year with that manager, and I remember there's this fear, and this is actually something that I do want to be very honest, because I feel like all writers, we're waiting so long to get a yes, that when one comes our way, we just say yes to everything, right? So for example, that manager, I remember at the time there was no momentum for me. It was just like one, competition or something, or an introduction. I can't even remember how it happened. But I was just like, okay, I'm gonna go for it, because like nobody else wants me. Like, this is my only chance, but I do believe that once I actually, got into the fellowships, I just realized how little I knew about the industry. Like, you can know a lot about writing, but then the industry is just a completely different beast. So my mentors started talking to me and being like, you need to switch managers, because, there were just things that were not working out, that like, I felt it, but I didn't really. I was just like, oh, Lucy, you're being a diva. Oh, Lucy, you're very, like, I was putting it on me, but truly it was like, no, actually, in a year, just 2 meetings is not okay. People compare it a lot to dating, and I honestly think it's true, because this manager, she was wonderful. Like, as a person, I really connected with her. She was really sweet. She was really excited. But that's also hard, because it would be easier if they were difficult or mean or whatever, because then you'll be like, oh, bye, right? But it was like, oh my God, but I really like her, but like, it's just not working. So I was really, really stressed, and ScreenCraft helped a lot with those conversations, and my mentors in HBO as well, and even the other fellows there, seeing what their team was doing for them. I was like, okay, yeah, I need to do something about it. And yeah, ScreenCraft was like, okay, we're gonna start sending out your material. Give me, like, these are the places that we're thinking about, but you give me, a list of people that you want us to send it to. And that's when it clicked me, because I was like, okay, the manager will like your work and has to be passionate about you, but you also have to be passionate about them. And I think we do forget that. We're like, oh yeah, someone wants us, and we go for it. And I remember being like, you know what? I really admire Kaylee Marsh. Like, I just love, how driven she is, a podcast that I've, heard, her clients, the Bloodlist. So I remember saying that name to Tom from ScreenCraft. I was like, yeah, Kaylee, but I'll put together a list if you want me to. And it happened. I didn't even gave him a list. So it was just it was
amazing.
pretty cool. Yeah.